You're live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Your boy Jarrod Glandt here, and I'm with my man, main man.
What's up, buddy?
Alex Vidal.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you are watching today. Inquiring minds want to know. And to my right, I have the vice president of Cardone Enterprises and the star, not the star, but the host of another, the star.
I'll take that.
Or the host of another podcast called Young Hustlers. You should watch it. We're sitting in Cardone Studios today. We are the day after Christmas. We're about to get into the new year. I can't believe 2018 is over. But we're going to spend 15 minutes with this guy talking about sales and everything sales and about GrowthCon coming up. As I always say, today's episode is brought to you by Related ISG International Realty. If you want to work with the brokerage that is connected to some of the biggest players in real estate, in sports, in business, in mindset, whatever it is, call me, text me, email me, DM me. Come work for the broker, or with, not work for, but with the broker who's connected to some of the biggest players in Miami and in the entire country. And here we go. You ready?
Let's roll.
All right, let's do it. Jarrod, you're 35. We just talked about that.
Yep.
When you started selling advertising at 21 in San Diego,
Yep.
To now being vice president of sales for Grant Cardone and the host of Young Hustlers.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about how you went from selling advertising in San Diego to VP of Grant Cardone. You're his number 2 guy.
Yeah. So it was. There's a quite a timeline there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started selling advertising when I was 20.
Okay.
I was the youngest rep in the country, number 2 rep in the country, just crushing it, and did really well, but was making a ton of money and was stupid. And so I literally was like, if I could just not spend like $3,000 this weekend.
In a weekend.
Literally. If I could just not spend $3,000 this weekend, I might be able to start saving money, because I was out popping bottles every weekend. And I lived at home, no bills, no nothing. And then that, like, the bad decisions just kind of started, building on top of each other, and then bad decisions kind of gained momentum. And then, some things happened at work, and then I quit when I really shouldn't have. And then I ended up, long story short, on unemployment and in a bad kind of a dark area.
You're actually, like, literally on unemployment.
Yeah, collecting a check.
You're shit.
Yeah,
wow.
no, yeah.
Okay.
Living at a buddy's house for free because I was broke, and I didn't want to go back home and live with my parents, and then was just like, was like, dude, I'm such a loser. Like, smoking pot every day, just like a total loser. And my dad got a job in Austin, Texas, so I kind of took the opportunity to try to change my environment and like get around something that was just less temptation, new, just try to like get me out of the deal that I was in, just kind of like spiraling, going nowhere. And so that was kind of the start of me getting my act together. Was there for about 2.5 years, and then decided I wanted to come back to California and move back to San Diego, working for a buddy. 6 months there, just the job just wasn't really a fit for me. Like, I really couldn't get into it. It was a family business, and it just wasn't my thing, and I knew it. And so my dad randomly sent me a YouTube video one day and was like, hey, this is the type of company you should be working for, because he knew that I wasn't super happy. So watched the video, watched every video on Grant's YouTube channel. Back then there were like 20.
Yeah. That's 20 a day.
There was nothing. I mean, this was, back in 2009 or something. So, no Facebook really at the time. Twitter was like, Instagram didn't even exist. Snap, like all these things were, this was very early in the social days. So I ended up saying I want to go work for this guy. Called him every day at the office for like a month and a half, talked to everybody in the office.
And this was while he was still out in California, right?
In Los Angeles, yeah. So then finally I got a phone call on Sunday that for the manager that he had at the time that was running, there were only like 4 employees. He's like, hey, come on up, and we'll interview. This was on a Sunday. They called me like 9 a.m. and were like, hey, he can meet you at noon from San Diego to L.A.
Okay.
So
on
that's
a Sunday,
like,
at least.
that's like, I mean, it's on a Sunday, but like that 3 hours is like tight.
Yeah.
So I went up there, interviewed, ended up getting the job, answering phones, and then selling as I could. And, when hard work and opportunity kind of combined, then
So he brought you out here. He brought you down to Miami.
Yeah, so I mean, we were out there for 2 years. I worked for him for almost 2.5 years in LA, and then we decided that we were going to move the office, and so I moved back out here. We were at 15 employees, and then we went down to 3 when we came here.
Oh wow!
So we started with 3. We've got 112 today. So
and great tax benefits
too.
too.
It's been a good run. Yeah.
Now, you kind of referred to it that along your journey you had some dark times.
Mm-hmm.
What systems and habits do you have in place now as a result of those dark times to stay in that motivated, positive mindset? Because it's daily exercise, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that people have to go through really challenging times to learn lessons, but certainly for the people who do and are able to come out of it, I think they have a connection to what it was like that, you know, other people just won't have. Like, you know, I tell my wife this, you know, because I was in a situation where like I had to get scrappy. Like it wasn't an option for me. Like it was the option of moving back with my parents and like giving you know, doing that whole thing, that was just not even an option. So it was like, you've got to make this work. You've got to make it happen. You're moving from San Diego to LA. You know nobody there. This is a job you don't know. You've never cold called companies before like this. You're selling sales training, like, which is one of the hardest things in the world to sell, by the way. So it's just, there was a lot of things that were like, you know, you've got to make this work, you know, and the reminder of not having money and the reminder of like other people having to buy stuff for me and like all of those things are like, I'm so frugal with my money now, you know, like I invest, like
no more $3,000 weekends.
No,
or nights.
No, you know, but all of those lessons that I learned along the way, like, man, if I remember being on the couch one day and I was like, man, when I was making all that money, if I just could have saved like $500 a month or whatever, man, I'd have like 20 grand in the bank right now. And right now, and I wouldn't be in the situation I am in right now. And it was just like always be thinking for the future, you know, never go back to that place. You know, it can happen to people that have great things going for them if they make bad decisions, and just never go back there. And
so out of curiosity, this is not on here, but do you ever find yourself where, because you've been in that spot and you know you've gotten out of it, that you're willing to take risks? Because, hey, if you went back there, you could always bounce out of it.
Yeah, but it was why I went there, you know, like, so it was the reason I was there was because I was making bad decisions. Like I have a skill set now that I didn't have back then, you know, like it took me, I mean, even I learn every day, like every day I'm learning something new about business or marketing or growth or management or leadership or whatever you want to call it. And I didn't have that back then, you know, so I had to learn. Do I feel like if I was put back in that situation now, I'd be much more capable of handling? 1,000%. But for me, it's not saying, hey, I'm gonna go quit working for Grant, go start my own company because, you know, I'm willing to take risks. For me, it's okay, hey, I've got this thing going right here. Now, how do I add additional flows that don't conflict with this, you know? So that's where the reach comes from. And it's less about taking more risks, and it's more about providing more insulation around me from ever being in a situation like that again. So for me, it's really like, and I talk about this in the podcast all the time, like financial freedom is my target. Like and I have a real understanding of the work that's required to get there, and I have a real understanding of the amount of money that you need to have to be financially free. And I think a lot of people operate under misinformation in those areas, and because of those miscalculations, things just don't work out. You know, it's like when we're planning to sell the growth conference out, and we're planning on how many seats are going to be in each of these sections and what the price points of the seats are, so we could do like projections and forecasts for the revenue of the event. And you know, if you make bad calculations at the end of the road when you're 30 days out of the event, it's too late to change anything, right? Like so it's about understanding like the right calculations to make all those things possible.
Now, you said you went from San Diego to Texas, back to San Diego. Now you're back in Miami, which is probably the best city of them all. Actually, San Diego's close.
Austin, Texas is pretty awesome too. I've been really blessed. Like every city that I've lived in has been pretty awesome.
In Austin, I mean, think about it. How much it's changed from when you were there to what it is today.
I can't even imagine, because when I was back there then, it was like, you know, they had like 300 people a day moving into Austin or something crazy like that. So the real estate is just
gone great. Yeah, here Miami or South Florida's 1,002 people a day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Moving to Florida, mainly to South Florida. What was that breakthrough moment for you that launched your career, and what can our viewers learn from that breakthrough moment?
I think that the breakthrough isn't one idea. I don't think that the breakthrough is one thing. I think everybody's breakthrough is going to come from having the discipline to continue to show up and do as many of the right things as possible for a long period of time. You know, it's like the overnight success story is never an overnight success story. It's always years in the making.
It's like the iceberg picture, right? You see the tip, but there's all this underneath.
Yeah, so it's understanding, you know, how to get sold and stay sold. Like how to resell yourself when you're going through hard times with your product or your company or the economy or whatever. Like how do you stay sold? How do you stay engaged? You know, what's the amount of effort and work that it takes to actually get something done? That requires constantly revisiting, and you have to execute on that. Like you have to constantly be aware of these things. How many follow-up calls to actually get a deal done? I mean, like, dude, I'm not dodging you, but you've been following up. Like, hey, dude, we need to get you on. We need to get you on. We need to get you on. And
a few times, several times.
And you didn't quit, but it's because what you don't see is like, dude, like people got stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so important for people to know. Like they get offended. Like I remember making a follow-up call and then expecting a phone call back. And today, like if I would
never.
It never happens. Like you have to for every 25 calls that you make for follow-up, you might get one email back. Like it's just, but you're making those deposits, right? I was seeing the text messages, but I just couldn't even confront the situation because I couldn't. Like it's not my time, it's not my thing, and people, your prospects do that to you all the time.
Yep.
Like they're like, man, I don't want to engage, I don't want to write back because then he's gonna think that I'm interested in the product or I'm interested in the house or whatever. I'm interested in the training, and then he's a salesperson, so he's really gonna sink in. Like this is what prospects go through, and so they just don't. That's why people do not respond because they communication opens the door for more
it's like pulling the cork on a bottle of wine, right?
Totally. So like the amount of work ethic that you have to have over a long period of time, the actions that you take place over a long period of time, the people around you, bringing in the right people over a period of time, those are all the things that make a breakthrough. It's like you're trying to, if you have like a balance beam or a seesaw, right? Like your opportunity is up here, and you just got to keep loading more and more of the right activities and with the right amount of discipline to the point where that seesaw finally swings, and that's when you start making money and being successful. But it's about continuing to pile on.
You're the first person to talk about a breakthrough moment being a collection of moments versus being like, oh, this happened in my life, or I experienced this, or I hit rock bottom. You're saying, no, man, it's chipping away, and then all of a sudden the culmination of everything is what gave me that breakthrough moment.
Yeah, dude, it's the truth. It's not like for anybody, it could be like, oh, well, I had my first kid, and it was like my breakthrough moment because I knew that I had to like start working. But that's not what made you successful. What made you successful was showing up and doing the right thing over a long period of time to the point where you built up enough momentum where you turn around and you're going, wow, like I'm successful. Like your career, if you look back at it, it was not because of one thing. It was because of years.
To get to where I am today, it took me, I tell my wife, it took me 17 or 16 and a half years of practice to become the president of my company, which I've now been president of for 4.5 years. It took me 16 and a half years in real estate, the ups and downs, different from secretary on up.
Totally.
And it's a culmination, you're right.
So people, if people are looking for one thing to create a breakthrough, then you're going to be disappointed. And this goes back to like having the right expectations about things.
Yeah.
Like if you approach everything with an expectation, like the 10x rule, if you expect everything, the multiplier will be 10. 10 times harder, 10 times more money, 10 times more effort. With a relationship, 10 times more effort in a relationship, not just for work, like 10 times more as a father or a wife, husband or a wife or whatever. So it's like if you can take everything and if you think it's going to take X amount of work, apply 10x to that, and then you might have a shot at getting where you want to be.
Now, there are a lot of nuggets in his answer to that you guys should rewind and listen to when we're done here. Now, you guys, and a lot of it had to do with sales. We may have even answered it in this question. Everybody here at Cardone, there's 100 and something people here, it's nuts, are sales gurus. So what's some advice that you can give our viewers on how to become the ultimate salesperson, which a lot of you guys here are?
I would just say that, the thing that not one person that we have that works for us was outstanding when they came here.
Okay.
Myself included. Like everybody came in here and they were average at best. And what their breakthrough was training every single day over a long period of time. And eventually what happens is you start to kind of program the way your mind works, so that now when people agree or when people follow up, it doesn't require thought for them. It's just the reaction of the right thing to do. It's they don't have to think anymore. They just do it. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, when you really start getting into like the mastery level, or any of these guys, and we have salespeople that come here and work here and could go make $7 or $8 grand a month like anywhere, but they're coming here because they want to make 30 or 40 grand a month. So people here leave and they go get jobs in sales and make 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 grand a month and do well. But it's just like, this environment is really tough.
Sure.
And so in order to kind of get into the area, it's just so much training, constant coaching. Todd, our sales director, is awesome, and he's listening to calls, coaching people on calls. It's just like the entire culture is built around improvement. How do we get just a little bit better on every call? How do we get a little bit faster? How do we get a little smoother? How do we get more professional? Like, all of those things, again, a series of things that take place over a long period of time is what will ultimately create the big success that people are looking for.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how did that impact your life? And we didn't go over the question, so I'm throwing it.
No, I would just, best advice I ever got was from Grant when he said, invest in real estate.
Interesting. Okay.
Knew nothing about it. I'd worked for him for 2 years. I told you earlier about how, man, if I could get to 10 grand in my bank account, I was pumped.
Yeah.
Working at selling advertising, if I could just not spend the 3 grand and blow all my money, then I was excited. For me, it was, I got to the point where after 2.5 years or so, I had 100 grand saved up because I was being super frugal, because I had still, the aftertaste of the tough years in my mouth. I had 100 grand in the bank, and he was like, dude, you need to invest that in real estate, and you're probably not going to understand it, but you need to trust me. And he only had to say that once, and I wrote him a check for 100 grand for everything that I had. And against people from the outside, make sure it's not a scam, like all these things that people say and do because not necessarily it happened to them, but because they've heard it, right?
Yeah,
so influence, right? So I did it, and I've made more money investing in real estate with him over the last 5 years than I have working for him. So it made me a millionaire. It'll create legacy money for me and my family, and so that was probably the best piece of advice that I ever got. I mean, that's certainly there's sales advice and things like that, but if I look at my financial situation now, which is really important to me, not because of things, but because I know what that represents. It represents some semblance of security, right? Like, in my mind, I'm thinking you got to get to 20, 25 million in net worth. You've got to have that paying you monthly. That's how you can create some freedom and some security in your life, with something that can't be destroyed. So that's kind of my scoreboard, and that's what I'm,
All right.
That's how I'm measuring it.
I want to circle back after we got a couple more questions. I want to circle back to that because we're at that point now ourselves, right? I think everybody is. Do you go and invest in multifamily duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, or do you go to Grant Cardone and say, hey, here's the same money I was going to put over there. I'm going to give it to Grant because I know he opened up the whole non-accredited investors and all that stuff. What's the one thing, and we'll come back to that. What's the one thing that you do on a daily basis that has changed your life for the better?
Daily basis. I think it's changed. It's changed. For me, it's, when I was single, it was, I would plan all my days out, at the end of the day for the following day, so that I had a game plan. Like when I was still selling, like I had a plan. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I still do that, but now I think that the thing that makes the most impact is me trying to spend quality time with my wife and my son. Like I really had, like, maybe a year ago this, like, this cognition, if you want to call it that, but it was just like maybe a realization that I was like, man, I really need to, like, try to shut down for a period of time when I get home and just, like, no phone. So basically, like, I get home at like 6:30. I used to stay later, but I'm trying to balance all this stuff, like I want to make sure that my wife is getting loads of attention and she feels, she's getting what she wants and needs out of the relationship, and that, I'm making the time to get home and bathe my kid and help put him to sleep, so that, I don't look back and go, man, I wish things would have been different. I know that I'm productive when I work, and I don't feel like, you have to you have to do 24-hour days to get a lot done.
Sure.
You know, we get a lot done here, more than most people who work twice as much as we do, right? We get an extremely large amount of work done here.
That's so important you said that, because I think you're right. Everybody's like the hustle 24/7
Yeah.
and no days off, and it's like, dude, actually, for me at least, some of my most important ideas have come from, hey, my wife was off on a Thursday morning and I took an extra hour before I got in the office to spend it with her without the kids.
Yeah.
You know, and then boom, an idea comes up when you're not in the weeds all the time.
Yeah, and it's so important because it gives you, again, like 10x, the 10x rule. Like sometimes people get a little confused about it. Like the 10x rule means you are 10x everywhere. It's not 10x in one area. It's not 10x with your money and 2x with your health. It's not 10x with your relationship, but 3x with your money. It's 10x everywhere, and so you have to be able to make the distinction of these areas of your life. Like they all work together, but for me, I have to look at them and go, okay, what do I need to do here? I compartmentalize things, so it's like, what do I need to do to be a better husband? What do I need to do to be a better father? What do I need to do to be a more valuable asset to the company? What do I need to do to get in better physical condition? Like I look at these things and I ask myself, what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? And then the key is you actually have to do something.
Yeah, you can't just think about it.
You have to do something.
Now, what's and I ask this to every guest, a book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation?
Yeah.
Or all three? Yeah. Obviously, Young Hustlers.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Young Hustlers.
When is that?
On Thursdays at noon East Coast Standard Time. Yeah. We do that on GrantCardoneTV.com. It streams live through his Facebook, but you can also, if you're podcast folk, you can go to the Cardone Zone and then you can download the shows there.
Okay.
The book, I mean, it's going to sound tacky, but the 10X rule, man, it's just like, of course, I'm going to plug our own book. No, but it truly is. It's a book that changed. It really created a lot of clarity for me, because I was wondering why early on, like, things weren't really going my way.
Okay.
And I thought I was doing the right things. I worked for Grant for a year and a half before the book came out. And for a year and a half, I mean, the first 90 days in, I almost quit. Like, I was like, dude, this isn't, like, I didn't see movement happening. And I actually, before I even read the 10X rule, I applied it. Because I said, if you're going to quit, then go down knowing that you went all in and you burned the ships. Like know that at least you did that. And so I cranked up big time. And then when I read the book, it was like validation. And it was like the right thing to do and then what you're doing, but there was just some like mystery in the middle that you really didn't understand. And then the 10X rule was like, laid it all out. And it was just like, bam, and that book has that effect on so many people. It's like,
I gotta read it. I read Be Obsessed or Be Average.
Oh yeah, the 10X rule is like,
this show is as a result of Be Obsessed.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like, if you haven't read Grant's books, you need to go from Sell or Be Sold, Closer Survival Guide, If You're Not First, You're Last, the 10X rule, and then Be Obsessed or Be Average.
All right, that went the wrong way, as always.
But because that's the type of guy you are, like. But that progression of content, it really goes from sales to closing and negotiating to prospecting and omnipresence in the marketplace to the 10X rule. And then Be Obsessed or Be Average is really like the 10X rule for the true 10Xers. You can't, the Be Obsessed message, a lot of people can't handle that obsessed thing. They have some negative feelings or ideas about it.
It's because they're scared of it.
Probably, because they know it's the right thing to do.
It's funny. My wife always says, you don't have a middle gear. Either you're all in or you're out. You don't have like that. And I'm like, it's just my sister, who's your dad's boss's wife, tells me all the time. She goes, the Vidals were wired in exaggeration. It's just it is what it is.
Well, it's I think the people that do great things have to have that. Like, if you want to do something great, it's because people have the ability to go into this obsession and really go all in, like give everything that they have to give. And if you can build the muscle to do that, like without going off the track, because some people do, like if you can build the muscle and have the discipline to know when and where to apply it, then it can be extremely powerful.
Let me ask you this, and we're going to talk about what's on the screen behind us in a second. This is not even on here. Because what Be Obsessed or Be Average did to me was get me over the hump of what people would think of me being on social media.
For sure, yeah.
And doing the show and all that jazz, which for recruiting purposes has helped huge, right? What has social media done for you guys in your business?
It's been, without a doubt, the most powerful, the most profitable, the highest generating. I mean, the way that Grant used social. I mean, number one, he was coming into these platforms when they were mature, but there weren't a lot of people that were putting out good content. And like Grant is a literal content machine. Most of the people like Grant, they weren't posting as much. We got criticized for how much we posted. People weren't posting video. We did tons of video. Like the amount of videos, we had a quota in our video department for daily videos that needed to get created and put out. So we took the opportunity that social gave us, and when you combine that timing and the opportunity with somebody with unbelievable content who literally can go days. I mean, he could go cold to a stage with no presentation and go for 8 hours, and people would be riveted, and they'd learn a ton. And so that, I couldn't even guess the amount of comparable ad revenue we would have had to spend in order to do for us with those platforms. I mean, it would be in the hundreds of millions. Yeah. I mean, today we spend about $1 million a month just on paid.
Yeah. You spend that on billboards on 95. I see them all over the place.
Yeah. We spent about $1 million on that too. So we spent a lot of money in promotion, but up until really the last 3 years, it was all organic. And so, it's been, such an unbelievable tool for us. I mean,
so that's the lesson. Get over the hump of getting on social media.
Yeah.
Let's talk GrowthCon.
Yeah.
What is it? Where is it? When is it? And why should our viewers go?
So GrowthCon's going to be right here in Miami at the Marlins Park. We rented out an entire stadium. We work with some of the largest event promoters in the world. Groups that promote Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, Dubai, all over Europe. Sure. Literally every big event. We are connected with the people that promote these events. And we asked what was the biggest event that they do, and it's in Moscow. They do an event with 25,000 people. Okay. So Grant was like, I want to do the biggest event in the world.
Okay.
And so we went and we were scouting sites out. So we ended up at Marlins Park, and we asked, because the Marlins Park is empty most of the time.
Yeah.
So we asked, what's the biggest event you've ever had here? And they said Joel Osteen was here.
Okay.
And we said, how many did Joel Osteen have? And they said 33,000. Grant goes, we're going to do 35,000. So 35,000 people, Marlins Park, February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right here in Miami.
That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Okay.
It's a 3-day event. Tickets for this, because of the size, are affordable for anybody. Okay. And we've spent a lot of money to bring in some of the top experts in the world. I mean, entrepreneurs, people that have impacted or influenced billions of dollars. So Steve Harvey, $50 million a year. Guy's been in comedy and TV for longer than most people. I mean, it's such a competitive space, and the fact that he was able to do it and continue to change and evolve and grow, it's just unbelievable job he's done. He's going to come speak.
He should do a Family Feud with the speakers.
Right?
On stage. Dude, oh my God, that would be awesome. You heard it here. Yeah. They do it.
So Steve Harvey's coming. John Maxwell, the legendary leadership coach, is going to be here, and he's going to come talk about becoming a leader for yourself, and then becoming a leader in public, whether it's an organization or a church or a community or whatever. We have Damon John from Shark Tank. He's going to come talk about what he did to take FUBU from 0 to 6 billion in sales, the lessons he learned along the way, the mistakes he made. Sarah Blakely, youngest female self-made billionaire in the world. She started a company called Spanx for the ladies. I'm sure the ladies know what that's all about. I think I probably could use some Spanx too.
They're all on my hit list, by the way. Yeah. I have probably 50 messages to each one on Instagram so far. Yeah.
Bethany Frankel, so she's from Real Housewives. She was on The Apprentice in one, and started a company called Skinny Girl. It was a $150 million company. Ryan Dice, who's the leadership or the digital marketing expert. He's the guru. He's the Grant Cardone of digital marketing. Okay. So he's coming. Russell Brunson's going to speak. Ty Lopez, who does amazing things with social media, he's going to speak. I've got a buddy of mine. His name's Pete Vargas. He's going to come teach people how to actually speak from stage. You know, a lot of people want to be speakers, and he's going to come teach people how to basically craft a message that connects with audiences, and that, you know,
where can they buy the tickets, and what are the different prices?
So you can go to 10xgrowthcon.com, then number 10xgrowthcon.com, and tickets right now, seats range from $95 all the way up to $15,000.
$95 for the 3 days.
For all 3 days.
So $33 a day.
Yeah, so literally the cost per seat is $260. That's our hard cost per seat. So for the $95 GA seats, we're literally losing money. We want people to experience this. So literally, there's not a place on planet Earth that you can go and access this group of people. Like, if you wanted to put this group of people together, you'd have to hire them one by one, and I know what we paid them to be at our event, and it would be a 7-figure check.
Sure.
Or you could just come at our event. Our diamond level seats right up front. They get meet and greets with all the speakers. So I know everybody wants the Instagram pictures with everybody, right? So we're gonna do meet and greets for the diamond right up front. Food every day, big tables. I mean, it's the stage is 150 feet wide. The LED screens are 150 feet. They're 50-foot sections, and then the stage, the screens are 40 feet high. The overall height of the stage is over 60 feet.
Jesus.
It's bigger than Jay-Z and Beyonce's stage that they did at Sun Life, or the Dolphin Stadium. So it's going to be about entrepreneurship. It's going to be about marketing. It's going to be about branding. It's going to be about social media. We're going to talk about money and finances. We're going to talk about sales. I mean, it really is a conference that we call the Growth Conference, because we want to focus on 10xing the areas of your business and your life that grow you the most, whether it's your money, whether it's how you market yourself, whether it's your personal finances, whether it's learning how to maybe invest in real estate, how to get new customers, how to pick up the phone and make a follow-up call. Like, all of those things, they all contribute to you having growth as a person.
And I will tell you, I think this is like, I don't know, my 32nd or 33rd interview for Inquiring Minds Want to Know. And from where I started to where I am today, how my mentality has changed, because I'm around the Atlanta Cardones, the Hughes, the Brad Lees, the Patrick Bet-Davids, Ryan Searhan. I mean, all these people. Yeah. It changes it starts changing how you think, and it starts making you, actually, I believe more in myself now than I ever have as a result of being surrounded by you guys, right?
Well, and you're putting yourself out there, like when you put yourself out there like that, it just builds more confidence in. Like, that's why people have trouble like going live on video, because they don't do enough of it to be like, it's nothing, and so doing that over and over again, it reinforces to you, like, who am I, what am I about, what's important to me, and the stronger connection you make with that, the more confident you are.
But people are going to have that same feeling by going to the event. I'll be there. 100%. I'm going to work on, actually we're going to talk about it now, about putting a package together for our agents to go. Yeah. But I'm done, man. Thanks so much, bro.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I appreciate it. Anything, I'm going to walk behind the camera. Anything
10xgrowthcon.com. It will be the largest event in the world. You've got to be there. Don't miss it. I promise you, it will change your business, your income, and your life.
There you go.